what's some of your big tips you would have for social media for people that are looking to kind of get more involved with their social media platforms and stuff?
I would say consistency.
Okay.
Some people think that they can beat the algorithm
Yep.
if there's even one. So don't get too hung up on the algorithm or the rules or the new whatever about it. Consistency, and then whatever happens, it's gonna fall into place because you were there every day or almost there, or whatever consistency means for you.
Oh, yeah.
Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Break It Down with Braydon. I'm super excited. I've got Celina Acosta on here today with me. Thank you so much for joining me, Selena.
Thank you for having me.
Selena and I met probably 4 or 5 years ago now.
Like around 4 years ago, I think.
4 years ago now, through one of our good friends and acquaintances, Ben Marquez. So plug Ben, thanks for making the introduction. Selena's got an amazing family, 2 kids, Sebastian and Fabiana. And her husband, Joseph. And Selena, tell us a little bit about yourself and kind of how you got into the real estate business, how long you've been doing it, and who you're with.
Sure. I am with eXp Realty right now. I've been doing it for 15 years, of a full-time real estate agent. So I've b've been, I think that's around the time we met when I joined eXp Realty.
Yep.
And what was the other question?
How'd you get into real estate?
So I've always liked real estate, and I always knew that I was going to be involved in real estate one way or another. And I guess like the easiest path is just to get your license.
Yep.
There was a point where I wanted to be in commercial real estate for some reason, but another commercial agent talked me out of it. And and I ended up doing real estate, and I love it. I think it gets me the chance to do a lot of the things that I love about real estate. So it's not just selling the house, right? There's so many things, and then that's I just really like it and enjoy it.
Yeah, it seems like it's a real passion of yours, and it's been cool to kind of follow you over your different social media platforms and all the families you've been helping and everything you've been doing across the valley. It's been really cool.
Thank you.
Where do you see the general market going? What do you think is going to happen in the valley here?
I think we've already started seeing it. I think it's softening up a little bit. Whenever you hear that, people immediately think crashing or just like because I think we have those memories of what happened in the Great Recession.
Yep.
And it was really dramatic and really drastic, but I don't think we're going to see this here. We've already, the softening of the market already started about 6 months ago, 6-7 months ago. And it will continue to soft a little bit, but I don't think it's going to crash.
Yep.
Prices are going to stabilize. We saw a huge spike in appreciation, and I think that's a little ridiculous. I don't think we're going to see it again for another year or two. That was 30% in some areas, in some markets. So probably less than that. Yep. And it'll be more digestible. And I also think there's a lot of new listings coming to the market as well. So that's really going to help this housing shortage that we have. So
it seems like things have kind of softened up, like you said, and supply is starting to pick up a little bit. And days on market are starting to get back to a little bit on normal side of things. And
and it's funny because how it is here. It's really pockety.
Yep.
So there are still neighborhoods and little pockets within the city of Phoenix itself and different cities where we still see a lot of multiple offers and 15, 20 offers still. Yeah. And there's other houses that are just on the market and nobody has made an offer yet. So you see those contrasts. And it's hard for people to explain why, because sometimes the house may seem the same. Yep. But as it's all about location. Right. Yep. And some people are still fighting to be in a certain neighborhood or a certain area or zip code, or we still see that.
I think you nail it right on the head. It's kind of interesting how little pockets of Arizona are really having these huge appreciation and influxes and stuff, but then other areas are not necessarily. And
so they've remained a little bit flat. Not that they're going down by any means, but they're just a little bit, flatter.
Catching up a little slower.
Yeah, that's right.
One of the reasons why I wanted to have you on is because I thought you've been doing just an amazing job with your social media.
Oh, thank you.
So why don't you just talk a little bit about that? Just kind of what have you been doing on social media?
Okay, so I don't know how far to go.
Yeah.
There was a point where I hated social media. And I did not think it was valuable for the business. I'm talking about a decades, when a decade ago probably.
Yeah.
And I was like not understanding like the value of it. And so I was kind of like a late bloomer.
Okay.
When it comes to using social media for not just the business, but every aspect of me.
Yeah.
Because people like to work with people that they love, trust, and like.
Yep.
And how are they going to like me if they don't know me, right? Or how are they going to trust me if they don't know what I can do?
Yep.
And so that's, I understood that a few years ago.
Yeah.
And I started just being myself, and getting more out there in social media, and I've been doing it ever since.
Yeah, I want to give you a lot of kudos for that, because a lot of
you.
people are scared to put their face on camera and to record themselves talking about the general market or how you could be helping people or whatever. And I think you've done an amazing job at that.
Thank you. I've gotten better. Of course, everybody gets better with time, and I still do. I just put in a camera on my face and like talk. It's hard.
Yep.
But the more you do it, the more, the easier it becomes, as you know.
Yep.
And it's just, getting your message out there and telling people what's going on. I think everybody wants to know.
Yep.
And I think they want to hear it from somebody local, somebody that they know.
Very good point.
And not a corporation or a headline.
And know, like, and trust. Like you said, it's someone that you have an acquaintance with and they actually trust what you have to say. And so just getting over yourself and putting yourself on the camera and knowing that everyone hates hearing themselves on the camera and hates how they look on the camera. It's just put it out there.
Put it out there. You don't even have to see it again.
Yep. It's the same thing with this. Is like almost every time I'm like, okay, what are we going to talk about? And I get a little nervous and stuff. But it's just providing value and
exactly
and getting out there.
I think it's selfish of somebody who who has a lot of good things to say and they don't want to say it because they have hang-ups on how they look or how they sound.
Yep.
So I think it's like they're withholding on all of us by doing that. So
what's some of your big tips you would have for social media for people that are looking to kind of get more involved with their social media platforms and stuff?
I would say consistency. Some people think that they can beat the algorithm if there's even one. So don't get too hung up on the algorithm or the rules or the new whatever about it. Consistency, and then whatever happens, it's gonna fall into place because you were there every day or almost there, or whatever consistency means for you.
Yep.
And just there's a lot of trial and error. Of course, I've made posts that or videos that I thought, oh, this is gonna be amazing, and it's just like flops.
Yeah, 5 views or whatever. Like, what the heck?
And then there's another one that I'm like, oh, this is just whatever, and then that's the one that ends up becoming viral, so to speak. So you never know. Yep. Just as long as it's authentic, as long as it comes from the heart, as long as you think it's you or it's a representation of you, you don't have to sound smart or perfect or whatever it is. It's just, and also just provide value. I mean, it could be cute and silly and funny, but what are you intending? With this message. And I think that's so my most important tip is consistency, I would say.
Okay. One thing that I noticed from your social media, at least, is that you've done a great job with branding. Can you speak on behalf of kind of how you've done with that, or what you've kind of done with that?
Well, thank you. I don't know what I'm doing right until I hear feedback. And so branding means different things to different people. So branding to some people is the logo and the colors and, how everything has to be a certain way. To me, it's that in addition to the feel and the taste, if you will. Yeah. And of the person. Yeah. Or the product, right? In this case, I'm the product. And so that's what I'm saying. As long as you're yourself, then that flavor is going to come out. And then people know what you taste like. Yep. And then they're going to immediately know, do I like this taste or do I want to keep looking?
I love that analogy. It's funny because when I first asked you that, I was asking you about the colors and kind of how you brand and stuff you're around. But it's funny now that you say that, the more or less what I'm looking at on your pages kind of just the taste of you and kind of
Right.
what it kind of looks
Do
like.
I like her? Do I want to work with her?
Right.
And if the answer is no, it's okay.
Yep.
And if the answer is yes, then I love it
Yeah.
because then I think we're gonna be better matched.
Yep.
Right. If you like.
What is your Instagram page if people wanted to kind of see what you've been doing?
Celina sells AZ. AZ like Arizona.
Cool.
Yeah. Celina with a C.
I know you're also huge on self-development.
Yes.
I know you've been a big Tom Ferry fan for a while.
Mm-hmm.
I know you attended the last Tom Ferry conference.
Mm-hmm.
What's some of the takeaways you got from the Tom Ferry conference?
So I'm very happy that I was able to go in person.
Yep.
So last year it was not in person. Nothing was in person. But I don't think for me, I'm more of like an in-person, hands-on type of
Yep. Me too.
person, and I don't get as much information as when I go. But that was great. And there's so many things. I've not only a big Tom Ferry fan, but I'm also a client. So I'm a coaching client, and I think it's always good to innovate and to like be on the forefront of everything.
Yep.
So that's who I use as for my professional.
Yep.
You
so
know.
he's your coach.
Yeah, coach.
Yep.
He's not my personal
Not Tom,
coach.
but yeah,
yes.
yeah. Somebody in the program.
But I think just in general, the personal development is huge.
Yeah.
And for me, and I love it. We all.
How long have you had that coach?
A few years. I was with Mike Ferry, who's his father.
Yep.
And then like with no coach, and then with coach. Just like anything, when you have a coach, you have accountability.
Yep.
And you're on track. The same thing happens when I'm at the gym with a trainer or without a trainer.
Right.
I see different results. And that's the analogy I wanted to apply to life and the other personal development that I like or that I use. It could be spiritual. It could be in anything.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be real estate related or business related. I think it's very important because then if we don't have anything, we always fall, to our default settings.
Yep.
And usually that's not, they're not going to let you win.
Yep.
So.
Yeah, it's important to just be always improving our craft. I mean,
for sure. Yes.
especially
in the forefront, improving like what's happening, what's going to happen. How can I serve better? How can I be better so I can be of better service to my clients? Because we all know that the market, it's always changing, but it's always changing sometimes against the agent.
Yeah, that's true.
Right? Because it's one of those things that it's being disrupted a lot.
Yep, a lot of software and a lot of technology that are coming out.
Yeah.
That are trying to change the way that we do things.
Exactly.
Yep.
And a lot of these technology things that they can replace 100% the person factor.
Yep.
And I don't think we're there yet. I don't think we're ever going to be there 100%. However, it is something that you do have to keep showing up and keep showing your value so people understand that artificial intelligence, that's not 100% how you're going to exchange properties.
It's interesting.
There's so many nuances.
I was speaking with a lender this morning. We were talking about the appraisal process, and he talked about how many more are just getting automated now because technology is so efficient now that they could tell kind of the value of properties. But then I was talking about a little bit more about that, but then there's no really way of knowing, what's been updated and stuff unless if they actually go into the property. So there's always going to be that human element.
For sure.
As much as we could automate as much as we want, at some point in time, there's always going to be that human element.
And of course, and that automation really, really helps because it can kind of like do the heavy lifting. But then there's always like that finesse that you have to come in there with your own eyes and your own history and experience, and then kind of finish up that valuation of the property. And some properties are easier than others, as you know. If it's really unique, then no way a computer can tell you.
Yep.
But if it's, an identical condo versus another identical condo, then
Yeah, track homes or whatever.
Yeah, you don't have to go.
Right. With this market, I know you've kind of also differentiated yourself a little bit by starting to flip houses as well. Can you talk a little bit about that and your experience with that?
Well, this happened in the previous market when we were coming out of the crash.
Yep.
So as an agent, I didn't have the same kind of business I did before the crash. And the financing was not there, the demand was not there. And so I think organically I just got pulled into working with a lot of investors.
Yep.
Because the market was recuperating and now they were wanting to fix it up, fix up houses and selling them. So I was kind of like finding these deals for them and even running numbers because I was just good at that.
Yeah.
So I'm like, well, I think, if you put this much, you can sell it for this much, and then your profit would be this much. So I was like doing the job for them already, and I'm like, well, why don't I do it for myself, right? So it was always a combination of I did it for my clients, and I also, whenever I found something I liked, I did it for myself. I don't know what it is with old homes in Phoenix that they always like grab my heart, but then they were always like the hardest, you know, to fix up, and they had the most problems, and it was just like, oh my gosh. But I really like those charming little houses in historic districts. Like that's my sweet spot. And now those neighborhoods blown up.
Oh god.
Yeah, oh my gosh. When I started, the prices were easy for me to get. That's why I went for those houses as well, because they were, you know, kind of on the lower end. And now you can't get anything for less than $500,000, right? A fixer upper, but yeah. So that's what I was doing years ago, 8-9 years ago, what got me into flipping.
Love it.
So I have a lot of background in renovations and flipping. And
cool.
Yeah.
So if you have any clients that are looking to make an investment property
yes,
purchase,
and
or
I still do, for sure. So I ran the numbers, and I do, this is what you can sell it for. This is, you know, what you should buy it for. Because I think that's how you make money, is how much you buy it for. Not how much you can sell it for, because that's not something you can really control.
You make the money on the buy.
That's right.
I know you and your family reside in Chandler.
We do, yes.
You could live anywhere you want in Arizona or anywhere you want in the world. Why did you guys choose Chandler?
So funny question. When that area where I live right now, I remember driving there when I was younger. And I was a real estate agent, so I was driving there either for clients, like either looking for houses or whatever. And I would think, who lives here? Like, who would live this far, you know? Because I lived in Central Phoenix. I lived in different parts of the valley, Scottsdale, like the Biltmore area, and then Central Phoenix. That was like kind of like the furthest I got. Okay. And always very centrally, you know, located. And I thought I was really cool because I was like close to everything.
I'm
and
in the middle.
Yes. I live in the hip neighborhood, you know. And my husband worked at Intel in Chandler. Okay. So we had just recently gotten married. And he had to commute. And his commute was brutal because he was always driving with traffic back and forth. So that's what got us into. And then we started a family. So I'm like, that's suburbia, you know, that desire kicked in finally. And and it's funny because the rest of the city grew as well and expanded. So years ago, I used to think, oh, this is so far. But now I don't think I'm far at all.
No, the infrastructure that's around Chandler and the restaurants and the shopping, everything. It's
exactly. And then the freeway got extended, and I just felt like I was okay. Like it's a good compromise. Yeah. So that's how we ended up in Chandler, and I love my community. I've been there for 10 years now. Okay. And and I love the location too. It's close to Phoenix, Tempe, Scottsdale, so it kind of touches, and Gilbert, obviously, and it kind of touches all that. Yeah. So that's how I ended up there.
Cool. Mm-hmm. Awesome. Actually, funny story. I actually wanted to tell this in the beginning, and I kind of forgot to mention it. The first time I ever met Selena's family, we were at a Christmas party. And I think Selena was actually just getting back from a vacation. Yeah. Her kids were at it. Her kids first time seeing her, and her daughter walks in the door and she sees Santa and just absolutely loses her mind. Gosh, and Selena's like, "Wait, I haven't seen you in like 3 days. I'm right here." And it's just like Santa, and just the cutest thing ever.
I remember that.
Every time I see you now, I think about her and that day because it was literally like the cutest thing ever. She just lost her mind when she saw Santa.
And she did not care about her mom.
No, it was literally.
Yeah, I was gone. So funny. I love that you remember that.
Oh my God,
I wish I would have taped it so I can have it. But I remember that moment too. I showed up from being gone, right? So I straight from the airport because I didn't want. It was my own Christmas party that I was hosting.
Yep, that's right.
And unfortunately, we couldn't change the date. So anyway, coming straight from the airport, and I thought they're gonna run towards me. My children are gonna run towards me because they haven't seen me in days.
Yep.
And at the same time, Santa was showing up. And I guess Santa was more important. She almost like threw me aside and then continued running to Santa. Yeah.
That's too funny.
Yes. And she still loves Santa to this day. So.
Yep. Well, Selena, is there anything else that you kind of want to talk about today? Is there any sort of market news, things going around the valley, any kind of trends or anything you want to talk about?
Yeah, actually, I was just talking to a client of mine regarding Zillow and how they stopped, as you know, buying houses abruptly.
Yep.
And not the first question I got in this week about what do I really think about it.
Yeah.
Right. So the official reason is that they were backlogged and they had bought too many houses, not a lot of labor or manpower to fix them up and make them market ready.
Yeah.
And I do think that that's the truth. And but then there's also like another layer of truth that they're not talking about that, I should say it's my opinion.
Yep.
May not be the truth. That I've been seeing this even before they announced this, that they've been overbuying, and also they were overpriced.
Yeah.
Some of the houses, even to the point where I was like, how are they even making money? Like who does this, or who made the decision to buy at this price point, right?
Yeah.
And it finally caught up with them, I think. So that's my other point. Going back to the other point of you cannot replace a human.
Yep.
Is they may have all the data and they may have all the predictive, models, but if they had the local experts, the boots on the ground,
Actually tell them the real value.
exactly, or not only telling them the real value, but also telling them how much is somebody in this market willing to pay for that.
Right.
Not what the computer says, but because I know what my clients are willing to pay for that, that's why I can tell you the answer.
Yep.
Right. So it's just kind of like another point to show you that humans are not going to be replaced 100% anytime soon.
Yep.
However, because there are so many disruptors, I think that you should always bring your A game if you're an agent.
Yep. Oh, yeah.
And always keep, informed and prepared and thinking of ways of how you can provide more value to your clients and the market.
Love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that there's a time and a place for the iBuyers and those in the market.
For sure.
It's just making sure that you're educated and that you're working with an agent that knows how to work with those individuals or those entities, so that way you're not getting taken advantage of, because a lot of the times those organizations have ways on the back end with inspections and different fees that they tack on, where it may not look as a real estate commission,
right?
but it's still
convenience
dollars
fee.
being paid that are exactly the same dollar amount, if not more, in a lot of regards.
So they call it a convenience fee and other names, but at the end of the day, I think it's higher than what you would have paid, a realtor. And it is convenient because it's just direct. You don't have to, show it and go through all that. But it depends. And it's not for everybody, but there's definitely a market for it.
Yep.
So.
Well, and I completely agree, too, with you. And I think that another reason why they might be stopping the buying as well is because, like you said, the market's softened a little bit, and they can't just go, okay, in the next 20 months or the next 6 months, it's going to go up another 20%.
Exactly. I think they were betting on that, too.
Yep.
That's why they were like, it's okay if we buy high because it'll catch up.
We'll make it up in a couple months.
Yeah, in a couple months, and now maybe not so much.
Yep.
So
cool.
Yeah.
Well, Selena, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you, Braydon. I had fun.
Thank you.
Yes.
Stay tuned for another episode of Break It Down with Braydon. Thank you for joining me.